the paradigm shift. Today marks a major breakthrough in the paradigm shift, episode 132. For the first time ever, we're expanding. We're going to have not one, but two unbelievable, dynamic, extraordinary guests. And they're my dear friends, and I can't wait. Waiting for Big Dave to hop on. JSE, brother, we're going to bring you on in lesson five. And we're going to rock out. We're going to have a lot of fun. Love you, buddy. So there's that. Where is Big Dave? We'll get this party started. Let us know where you're dialing in from. Kelly Siegel in the house. Great to see you. Pig, T. Everybody's out today. It's going to be fun. Real fun. Hey, Dubs. Yep. Siegel Saturday. That's right, Cal. Where is Big Dave? Colleen Siegel in the house. Great to see you. Unbelievable, actually. We'll try Dave one more time. There he is. Episode 132. Not one, but two extraordinary guests. Dave, I requested you. Let's do this. Okay, here we go. There it is.
What's going on?
How you doing?
I don't know why it's so slow today, man. I've been here, and then you were waiting for me. So hopefully you see me now.
Yeah, I do. No big deal. Today marks a major breakthrough in the expansion of the paradigm shift, and here's why. For the first time ever, we're going to have not one, but two extraordinary guests stop by.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
We had to expand, man. There's too many people that want to be on the show, and I've done that on my other shows, and it's such a great variant and a great value to everyone to have different perspectives. And it's neat when they complement each other as well. And obviously both of us are familiar with our two guests today. Did you start swimming marathons instead of running them?
It's a flood out here for sure. Yeah. On my cross training days, I could totally just throw on a Speedo and go for a swim right outside on First Ave.
Yeah, I can't wait to come visit you next week. So we'll be in New York. I'll be keynoting Propelify. We're having a VIP dinner with Craig Siegel and myself, Claude Silver, Eric Coleman, Mike Tannenbaum, former GM of the Jets, amazing analyst with ESPN. We have a new TV show coming out, me and Mike Tannenbaum, so super excited about that. And just email me if you guys want to join Craig and I, david@dmeltzer.com. Come and join us on Wednesday night, and I'll be keynoting Propelify on Thursday. So, but Wednesday night, we love to see you. Come and join me and the Eagle. We love to see you.
Also, I don't know if you spoke to Colleen, but I'm going to actually move some things around and come see you a little bit earlier on Wednesday.
Yeah, you and I will have a little session.
Little bromance.
Exactly, man. And I love seeing you. I can't wait.
Let's bring on Jay right now.
Yeah.
So I want to make the most of every second, and we'll hit this because I have a good question, but I think it'd be good if Jay's here to answer it as well.
Yeah, I just saw Jay in Utah. We were at Silicon Slope Summit, and we did $100 tipping dinner and tipped a small restaurant $4,000. It was awesome.
There he is.
Hey, what's up?
What's up,
man?
Man. How's it going? I know it's been, 3 or 4 days since I've seen you, Dave?
Exactly. It's good to see you.
Jay, it's always
good to see you, too.
Brother. Happy Saturday. How are you?
Hey, I'm so good. I'm down here in sunny Phoenix, Arizona, at a event with Andy Elliott, Tim Grover, Brian Benstock, Coach Burt. So it's a great day to be alive. It's a good Saturday.
Is Evan Carmichael there too? He texted me this morning. Do you know him?
I don't know him, but
okay.
There's a lot of people down here.
Yeah, right on.
Jay's a dear friend. We love him very much. For our listeners that might not have been familiar, do yourself a favor, play catch up, do a deep dive, give him a follow, check out all the awesome stuff he's got going on. I'm just going to come right at it. I think this is a great question for both of you. And Jay, I wanted to kick it off with you. You and I have a personal relationship, specifically in entrepreneurship, despite what people might think. There's a lot of this and so forth. And
Right.
so pressure is par for the course. How do you personally handle pressure, not just in business per se, but just all around in life?
And that's such a good question because if you follow my story right now, I am going through a lot of pressure, especially with our industry, everything with the RV dealerships and different things and just our market. But, the mental game of entrepreneurship and even life is so important. And, taking care of yourself and, I got like my thing is going to the gym in the morning, reading a book, um, making sure that I'm listening to those podcasts, even connecting with people that I look up to, and just going to, events like the other night, David and I were at a tip dinner in Salt Lake City and, just being like, not a lot of, I don't know how much business was talked about, but, I got to introduce David to my wife and like 2-week-old baby, and just being around people like that, really, really helps with the mental side of the game because it's just positive, uplifting, and it's just like the vibe that is given off by people that are running hard is great. And that the mental side of the game and is tough, and it's not talked about a lot in a lot of people. It's kind of the ugly side of entrepreneurship, but it's so important to take care of yourself and keep pushing through.
Because it's inevitable, right, Dave?
Yeah, and I think Jay, it was great to see you. And it's funny for us because Jim Quick and I, we had a dinner, and then Dan Fleischman, texted me about the 100 tip dinner, and I never had gone to one. And I said, Jim, it's one thing we have dinner all the time, but what I have found is your frequency is your neighborhood. And if anything that I did, and Jim told me before he left with Gary and Dan to New York, Jim told me the highlight of this whole trip was that dinner. And I
Wow.
don't think any real business was talked about, but everybody brought their kids and their family. And, we had the Attorney General of Utah there, Jeff Mendez, the great entrepreneurs were there. Both Mikeys were there. And I'm sitting there going, I got to make sure that I'm making the right choices to surround myself with the right people and the right idea to empower others. Because one of the advantages of being older is I've been through difficult times, and I call them, there's not hard times or easy, it's to me, it's that the people that can get through the easy times are going to do well when there's more interference to the ease. And, obviously in the automobile industry, the RV industry, there's ups and downs. And what I found is there's less competition when it's challenging than when it's easy. And you'll find that the guys that they'll do better when it's easy, but they'll do even better when people have challenges, because most people will quit. Most people will quit, and there's still demand. So for me, that was the highlight, seeing you guys and seeing you in your element, and being able to pour good energy. Like, it was such an uplifting experience. And we really impacted that small business, the Aloha restaurant. I know you frequent there often.
Hmm.
It was crazy because, Craig, you like this. I thought we were all there for Dan, but what I realized was we all actually walked into, every single Utah guy was like, I eat here 4 times a week. I love this place. It was the best poke and chicken, and these guys fly in Hawaiian peppers from Hawaii. And it was a hole in the wall. Like, you would not be able to find it from the street. And it was an incredible experience. So anyway, thank you, Jace, for everything that you do. And I love the fact that you got to take care of yourself to take care of others.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah, beautiful.
For sure.
So many places we can take this conversation. One thing that I see you both do really well, and it's probably something I could use some support on, if I'm being honest, but I know the audience will as well. When you're building a business, how do you surround yourself with the right people that will challenge you and call you out and not co-sign your bullshit and help you maybe
That's the name of your next book. Don't co-sign your bullshit.
and also they can help you identify maybe some holes or some weaknesses and so forth, as opposed to yes men and so forth. How do you find those specific people, and how important is it for you, Jay, to surround yourself with cats like that?
No, that's a great question, and it's so important because everybody's kind of says your network is your net worth, but really to that mental side of the game and the challenging side of the game is so important. And I think the biggest thing is I guess obviously get in the room, make sure you're getting in those rooms, pay for those those dinners, and just being around people there's a lot of magic to that, right? Like, you might just be kind of mingling like this dinner. You're just mingling, having a good time, but there's just something so special about what happened in Salt Lake City, and happens all over the country. But I think the most important thing is just be authentic and be 100% yourself, and go into those types of events. I mean, in my kind of opinion, just looking for relationships, and in more focused on that instead of being so transactional. Like, sometimes I go to events and people are just shaking hands, asking, can you help me? Can you, like, which is, there's a time and a place for that, but really just be authentic to who you are, and really just the relationship, focus on the relationship, and a lot will come from that. And oftentimes, like, I don't know about you both in your experience, but oftentimes when you're not looking so hard, the best relationships come to you. Like, I met my wife in the most unexpected way, not looking for a relationship. I was literally like signing the documents, selling my house for my divorce, and her grandma happened to be the escrow officer. And shout out to Grammy, she hooked this up. But like, I was definitely not looking for my wife in that time, right? So relationships come in those unexpected times, but just being your authentic self and being true to who you are, I think, is the most important things, because people can look through the bullshit. Like, they can look through and see through that, right? So if they you're in those rooms and they can see a bunch of BS, then you're not going to last long. But if you're authentic, you're asking the right questions, you take time to shake, like, you ask about them, you ask how maybe you can help each other. Like, it's a real authentic relationship. I think that's the most important thing.
Dave?
Yeah, I mean, you're made by the people that say no to you. And, there was a younger time in my life where I thought I hated my mom, my dad, my best friend, and my wife, because they were the only ones that were telling me the truth. And I was co-signing off on my own bullshit. And I surrounded myself with all of those co-signers as well. And, it's not easy taking constructive criticism, and, but you got to surround yourself, especially, as you elevate and, get more around you, more people bleeding and needing you. It's really important for people to tell you the truth, to give you a reflection of, your values, your priorities. One of those differences for me is, after being able to build a big brand and a big community, not speaking on weekends. And, it's sitting there. And at first I had complete FOMO, right? During Limitless, my best friends were all patting each other on the back, speaking for free at Limitless. And, I was like, shit, man, I'm, total fear of missing out. And then to go to that dinner, it was like a redemption of JOMO, the joy of missing out. And my favorite part of that, Jace, just so you know, is because your brand's going to get bigger than mine and Craig's someday. It's interesting. Jim was going to stay till Friday, and we had this exact conversation. I said, I got to surround myself with the people I know that care about me, that call me on my bullshit. And he said, I'm staying till Friday. I said, I'm going home tomorrow after that dinner. I'm going home right after I speak there. I'm going to play golf with my son, 9 holes. And he's like, I miss my son. And he ended up flying back with Dan, and they all left early as well. And so it was nice to see that you can re-engineer those priorities as you go, and kind of non-negotiables. And I want to point out one thing. Like, when you're building your brand, sometimes you got to prioritize the weekends over the family to get there. And, there's certain business that needs to be done, but you find the other time to be there, and you got to make that balance. But that JOMO has blessed me for the last 10 years. If you can build a joy of missing out, you will be so much more successful than the FOMOs out there.
Wow.
I love that.
That was yeah, I love that too, Dave. And I want to say that for a second. It's in regards to when you're building a business, maybe making some tough choices, but then also being there for the family. The family's got to buy in. They got to be supportive. You got to all be on the same page for that, right?
Yeah. And that's why I give daily minimums, right? The best thing I did was I give my wife 30 minutes minimum, my son 30 minutes minimum. And so it's a weighted balance. But if you're there every day, telling your kids that you love them, you're proud of them, you got your back, telling your parents that you're happy, healthy, love, and appreciate them, you can get a lot more mileage. I always say 2 minutes a day with my girls are worth 2 hours on a Saturday. And so there is a weighted balance, but you got to make sure that you're present for everyone that's important to you and have non-negotiables like your health, like your family, like your fitness, like your finance and your faith. Make sure every day you're given at least a couple minutes to cover all of those things.
Dave, which kid gives you the most time?
The most time, Miles, for sure. But he lives with me, man. He's my best boy.
Yeah,
I love
it.
that.
Yeah, Jay, I have a good one for you. I was checking out your content; it's awesome, and I saw you say this, and I thought it was really beautiful. I think it'll be really helpful for the listeners. You said, "Don't wait for the perfect moment; make the perfect moment." Tell us what you mean by that one.
Yeah, I see so many people getting paralysis by analysis and just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, right? Like I'm a big sports fan, and you see a running back, and there is no perfect hole to run through the gap, right? There's like if they're sitting there like tiptoeing, dancing in the backfield, waiting for the perfect hole, they're just gonna get destroyed. Like it's never going to happen. And I think so many people expect perfection, and in business and in life, you just have to go for it. And like my mom always says, like plan, do, check, and adjust. So make the plan, do it, check it, adjust it. Like you're constantly doing that constantly, especially when you're scaling, you're growing, you're starting. Even in like even in relationships and marriage, like the plan might be to get married. You get married, you check it, you adjust it, and things that you're trying to figure out and make sure that you're both on the same page and all of that good stuff. And I just, I'm the guy that's just like, hey, I'm just gonna jump in. I'm like make sure that everything. I'm not the guy that's just gonna blindly jump off the cliff and hope that there's water at the bottom. I'm gonna go check there's water, then I'm gonna jump. But just doing it and just go for it. Like you just jump and just go for it, and it'll, trust me. It's a liberating feeling when you do that, because then there's no what ifs and second guesses, and you're gonna learn so much more while you're in the game doing it. And like a running back, like if you keep trying to hit that gap and it's not working or something, like you adjust it, and then you go to, like, you're constantly figuring it out. But the fact, like, you just have to go for it.
Dave.
Yeah, well, prioritization is an antidote to procrastination. And it's also the antidote to feeling overwhelmed. In order to prioritize, like Jason said, you have to know what's important to you. So you have to know what you want each day, who you can help, who can help you, and how best, like being water at the bottom of the cliff, how best you can be productive, accessible, and gracious with the choices that you make. But like Jason's mom said, your mom had it right. You have to prepare for adjustment, right? I have a AAA strategy within the context of the prioritization, which is get alignment, take action, and prepare for adjustment. And if you can prioritize by knowing what's important to you each day in a trajectory of what you think you want, and learn from the lessons of the past to help fuel that trajectory, you're going to statistically make better choices, which hold to hit. And yes, sometimes you're going to get stopped at the I'm a football guy. I can't even think of the goddamn the scrimmage line. I'm thinking, right? That's right. It's
The line
of scrimmage. Yeah, line of scrimmage.
Yeah. It's like I play too much football. That's my problem. I can't remember the line of scrimmage. But sometimes you're going to stuck in the line of scrimmage. Sometimes you're going to break one for a touchdown, and sometimes you are going to get caught behind the line. But no matter what, statistically, if you're prioritizing, you have the vehicle to not procrastinate, not feel overwhelmed, and to hit the hole and make the choice. But get alignment, take action, and prepare for adjustment. I love that philosophy.
Love it.
I love you. Speaking of running back, is Eckler playing tomorrow?
I don't think so. I texted him this morning. So he's he got a heel, man. He had a great first game. We'll see. We lost the 2 games we should have won. We won the one we shouldn't. I know the Jets, we're in the same boat. Let's just put it that way.
No, you guys, your future looks brighter this season. Still hope. For the first time ever, we're going to do something really expansive. We're going to bring on another guest. Jay, do you have another 5 minutes to hang out?
Yeah.
You'll love this.
Her.
She's the art. Rebecca is she's the best lawyer. She was voted best lawyer in America, I think. She is the negotiator, negotiating with narcissists. She's amazing. and it'll allow you to surround yourself with the right people, the right idea.
Jay,
You got her coming on? Oh, she's here.
There she is.
There you
Hey, you.
I love
I
this woman.
ran in here.
She's launching her book today, so I had to have her join us, man. So,
You guys are the
Congrats.
best. So good to see you all.
And Rebecca and Jay, you know each other from CLSLA.
I know.
Yep,
Did you have
yep.
your baby?
Yes, we did. She's it's been what, two and a half, about 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
She has way more hair than me, Rebecca. She has way more hair than me.
She's got so much hair, it's kind of crazy. Like we the first day in the hospital, we styled it.
Early because I was like, oh my god, I really don't want to have to do this IG live from the car.
That's awesome. Yeah, for our audience is very familiar with Rebecca. She's a dear friend. We love her. Rebecca, your new book, Slay the Bully, is about to drop. Hell yeah. Let me just kick off right now. For everybody listening right now, simply put, who is the bully, Rebecca?
The bully is the narcissist.
Yeah.
And we're gonna slay. See my new mugs?
I love it. Rebecca, I want to ask you, because your work has really opened my eyes to so many people in my life and how I interact with them and how I can be more proactive as opposed to reactive, and it's really beautiful. But I wanted to ask you, maybe you could simplify for some listeners, what is the difference between a covert narcissist and an overt narcissist?
Yeah. To me, the covert narcissist is the worst one, because the overt narcissist is the one that's in your face that everybody thinks of, right? That's the one that, is, I call the garden variety narcissist, the one that is, demanding the best tables in the restaurant, that tells everybody how great they are, the risk takers, the impulsive ones, the fills the room, right? The boastful ones, as soon as they're in there, that they're there. But the covert narcissist is the one that seems humble, everybody loves them, but just underneath the surface is that insecurity, that rage, that jealousy, that envy. So they do things that are much more passive aggressive. They tell everybody, absolutely, I'll do that for you, but then they don't do it. They tend to be what I call clean hands, because I came from a law practice, so it's more everything has an element of plausible deniability to it. I meant to send you, have you on that email chain, but I don't know how I left your name off that email chain. I don't know how you missed that meeting. How did that happen? There's that, if they smear people, it's like in terms of care, like, it's I'm so concerned about Susie and her drinking. You're just worried about her, and Susie probably doesn't have a problem with drinking at all, but like couched in terms of care, so people think they're so nice, but they're actually, I call them like a wolf in sheep's clothing. So to me, a covert narcissist in a lot of ways is the worst one, because everybody thinks they're wonderful, and so the person who's the target feels very much more isolated.
Yeah, I love this. And Dave, I want you to answer a question also, but I would just tell everybody that's on the live right now, you don't have to mention names, but the way Rebecca was describing those two, let us know in the chats if you have someone like that in your life. Dave, I know you probably got a nugget or question for Rebecca as well.
Yeah, first of all, I guarantee everyone has someone like that in their life, covert and overt. We see it all the time. It's just understanding how we allow them to either bleed us or feed us. And that's where my question lies, Rebecca. In Slay the Bully, we have to determine two things. It's obvious between the covert and the overt who's bleeding and who's feeding us. But I think we also have to deal with relativity. As you and I have both experienced, that there's this relativity of, hey, I have to put up with the bleeding because this person is in this position or this relationship and it's toxic. I can see by your body language. Explain what you mean by no.
Yes. So I say step 1, don't run. Step 2, make a U-turn. Step 3, break free. So the first thing that you have to do is put what I call, an invisible shield down around you. So you can just kind of, stop that what you call the bleeding, which is a great way of putting it. Because I used to say put an invisible shield down around you and kind of start looking at them almost as if they are a third party. So I say observe, don't absorb. And you can just start saying, I can see that you are upset. I can see that you are angry. And start realizing that you don't have to take it personally, that it is really their thing. Their triggers are not your responsibility. It's their trauma, not your trauma. You don't have to take that on. And so you can start to say things like that, oh, if somebody says, I don't like red lipstick on you or whatever, you can just say, thanks for the feedback. Like it does not have to be anything that you take on. So that first thing is a boundary, everything stays over there. I say it's like an invisible shield that comes down around you. And then you just have like that Superman chest or those Wonder Woman bracelets, and it is not your responsibility. So step 1, don't run. Step 2, make a U-turn. Step 3, break free. So that first step is just starting to observe. Never explain, justify, or overshare. Never defend yourself, because they go fishing. They go, I'm going to bait, and then they go reel you in. And then as soon as you're in, you're in. So you never defend yourself, ever. Because as soon as you start to go, you think that I'm a bad mom, or you think that I'm terrible with money, then you're in it. You are in it. You do not defend yourself, ever.
This is so fun.
Yeah, you got to get. It's a guide for life. The slave bully, the guide for life. That's why we changed our entire. This is the first time ever we had 2 guests, and Craig and I had a conversation. We're like, let's do this because this is the guide for people that will change their life. It's the best return on the investment, and it's now available. So
well, I love you guys. I love you guys.
Yeah, I love
Craig.
you,
That.
Bring it home, man. Bring it home.
Yeah, just
Today's the launch. I've got, I think like 4,000 people signed up for this morning, so I'm excited.
No big deal.
Wow.
I guess we'll land the plane. And Jay, I know you're no stranger to dealing with an narcissist in business. I think maybe even this year. So I know that she's speaking your language right now. I guess we'll land the plane with this, Rebecca. Dave, we'll land the plane. For someone that's listening right now that's been overwhelmed, and you really just open their mind into identifying who's around them, but they're overwhelmed, where can they start? Like, where can they begin to kind of start defending themselves and maybe living life on their terms?
Yeah, I mean, that's where I say, to actually start with those boundaries, because if you can start with those boundaries and start to just take those baby steps and start to just use some of that language that I'm talking about and just start to stay with, don't take things personally, because if you can start to realize that it's not your fault and start to realize that people who are hurt are the people who hurt people, and not take things personally, because people treat other people with the way they feel about themselves, right? And if you are in full authority from source energy and you know who you are, I love the Wizard of Oz, right? And everybody knows that at the end of Wizard of Oz, she said, you always had it, right? And she just had to find it for herself. Well, the wizard was really a narcissist. He had that whole thing to cover himself up, and he's really that feeble guy behind the curtain. That's really what a narcissist is, covering up himself with that whole thing. But you remember that Glinda, at the beginning of the movie, she was always fully knew who she was. But you remember at the beginning of the movie how she flicked the Wicked Witch away and said, go away, you have no power here? Remember that? That is how you can be. When you stand fully in your power from source energy and you know who you are, that is the why in my slay method. When you 100% know who you are from with oneness in source energy, no one has any power over you. Period.
Real deep, quick, huh, Dave?
Yeah, well, that's
Wow.
why we wanted to have her here. That's why I wanted to get the book. That's why I wanted Jason to stay as well. And we got quite a circle of neighborhood here, a higher frequency. So what a blessing. I can't wait.
Higher frequency, because when you are aligned and you are in the highest level of joy, vibration, when you stay in that highest level of frequency, that's what you attract. That's where you attract the people that you attract around you as well, and the type of life that you attract. And then, you know, because what happens with narcissists is they look for people who have vulnerabilities, and they look for those openings, because then they can they look to try to control people through fear, through you know, they're in a fear-based mentality, scarcity-based mentality. And when you're in an abundance mentality, they have no power over people like that.
Glenda said to the witch, just like this, eat it.
Go away.
She said, go away, you have no power here.
Go away. You have no power here. We learned that in the car business, the RV business, in the law business, in the Wall Street business. So you have to get familiar with scarcity to understand the differential between the low frequency and the high frequency. I always say my frequency is my neighborhood, and this is a hell of a neighborhood. Thanks, Craig.
That's it. This call right here, high frequency.
That's right. Everybody,
It's gonna be a good day.
grab Rebecca's book. Grab it for a friend too that could benefit. Jay, thank you so much, brother. Love you. Everybody, check out
Thank you.
and thank you guys for joining us on Saturday.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Jason, say hi to everyone for me.
You.
I will. Appreciate you guys.
Bye, guys.
Congrats.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
What an unbelievable call.
Hey, before I forget, come to slaythebullylaunch.com this morning.
What time is it?
It's at 9 a.m. slaythebullylaunch.com.
9 a.m. Pacific, correct?
Pacific, yes, Pacific.
Okay,
Slaythebullylaunch.com and slaythebullybook.com. Or slaythebully.com. They can get my book.
Done. We'll put that in the notes. Love you. So good to see you. And I'll text you in a little bit.
Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
So much fun, guys. The Paradigm Shift episode 132 in the books. First time ever. 2 guests, a 4-way. Let us know if you enjoyed that. We're going to start expanding and doubling down on the guests that we bring to you guys. Our sole goal and motivation with this show, 132 weeks in a row, no weeks off, is to bring you guys great people that have awesome content and that could shift your perspective, remove some limiting beliefs, add some clarity, help you think a place bigger, and do some great stuff with your life. The Paradigm Shift. Love you guys, and definitely check out everything that Jay and Rebecca have going on. Thank you as always, my partner in crime, Big Dave. Let's have an unbelievable weekend, you dig. And also, comment the word book here in the chat, and we'll DM you a free How to Reinvent Your Life toolkit. All you got to do is drop the word book and check your messages, and it's coming for you. Cat's in the house. Great to see you. Love you guys. Have an unbelievable weekend.